Is pre-construction planning a good investment? And I want to say 1,000,000,000% yes. Absolutely. There's no question about it. Now, there are wrong ways to do it, but 100% yes, yes, and some more yes. In this video, what I'm going to cover and sketch behind me are some key concepts from the book, How Big Things Get Done, which is one of my favorites. I wish everybody could just have it distilled in their brain, like just come pre-programmed with it once they start in their careers. Absolutely fantastic stuff. And I'm going to explain to you why it's so crucial in this video. And if you're into that, stay with us right now. Okay, everybody, you knew it wouldn't be long before I did this, so we're going to jam right over here, and I'm going to explain some things. By the way, when I say that, I want you to know that I learned from you and love you, and I hope that the sharing that I do is helpful. We really do these videos because we care about the people on the other side of the camera, not only here in person, but also the ones watching the video. And so this is really, I'm excited about this more than anything. So pre-construction planning, let me tell you something. I went to a company in Canada and we were talking about pre-con planning and somebody brought up the concept, well, what do you want me to do, Jason? Just put, and they weren't being mean, but hey, just put a superintendent with a set of plans in an office. That never works. Hold on a minute. I didn't say that. The book, How Big Things Get Done, didn't say that either. And the book, Elevating Pre-Construction Planning, that we wrote to help you with this, to implement that book, doesn't say that either. There are key points in pre-con where the builders and planners need to check in and make sure that we're doing multiple iterations of the plan. Hopefully, by the time we go out and break ground, it is the third iteration. You're probably freaking out right now. You're like, Jay Money, we don't have a whole bunch of people sitting on the bench. We don't have a lot of capacity. Hey, I understand that, but you probably do have a pre-construction department, and we probably can bring in builders, and we probably can iterate. The bottom line is, I want for you that you have a TAC plan, zone maps, logistics plan, you have your trailer design, your org chart, your risk and opportunity register, your procurement log, and any other needed items thoroughly reviewed, torn apart. Oh, and your budget, obviously, ready to go before you even break ground. Okay, so let me talk about why it is worth it. I'm going to start with this. One of my favorite things to do is show a graph, and I'll do 100%. And then this is 0%. In the book, How Big Things Get Done, they did a study. Now, this isn't just willy-nilly. This isn't conjecture. This isn't anything like that. They did 16,000. I'm going to write the number. And probably today it's like 25,000, 30. They keep increasing their database. But as of the writing of the book, over 16,000 projects from massive custom home builds to airports to bridges all around the world. And of this 100%, can you guess how many finished on budget? You guessed it, only 48% of those studies. Those aren't other numbers. Those are your and my numbers if we don't plan in pre-construction. So you see where I'm going with this. And I'm just going to write a B here for budget. Now, what was the percentage that finished on time? Yep, you guessed it. It's 8 to 9% finished from a schedule standpoint on budget, on time. Those are horrific numbers. And then I just will draw a little line right there. And this is 0.5% that, and I'm just going to write owner's expectations with an OE. Only 0.5% of all these 16,000 finished on budget, on time, as the owners wanted, with high satisfaction. Now, you're probably thinking like I did, oh my gosh, these are real quick, let me give you some more stuff. The average over budget, and I'll mark it with a B. That's a kid song there, but anyway, over budget is 60%. That is horrific. And in a study that was shown to me in 2015 within the United States, throughout the United States, just because that's the data that I had, past substantial completion, the average was 58 days. So this is not great information. This comes from and is directly correlated to not planning projects properly in pre-construction. Now let me draw something else and I'm going to explain why. There's a concept in lean thinking that I 100% agree with that says this, and if you're wanting to take notes, now's the time to take notes. I know you're going to want to like the video. That's just the next natural step. We want to be together. So we have 8 problems as I've drawn on the board. Your project could have 12, 24, 5, whatever, but we all have problems. Everybody has problems. And here's the quote. The problem is not that we have problems. The problem is thinking that we don't and then we don't fix them. So we always want to IDS, identify, discuss, and solve problems. Let's say this is the project start and this is the project completion. When we look at these numbers and you're thinking, why in the world does this happen with these projects, and the root cause is a lack of planning? Well, if you shortchange your pre-con efforts, and we do what Christopher Hitchens always said in his newscast called wish thinking, then what will happen is you will find these problems in construction. And if I was literally asking you in an in-person seminar, hey, why did this happen? Or why do you think this happens? Or what do you think will happen if you find these problems during construction? You would say, well, it'll be 10 times more expensive. You will hurt people. You will damage trade partners. You will pause the schedule. It will hurt morale. And I would add, you leave open what's called the window of doom. I got that concept from the book, How Big Things Get Done. That means the project duration extends. And this is, real quick, I have to say this. I think this is such a cool topic. General Patton, one of my favorites in all of the different generals. By the way, I love Bradley, I love Eisenhower, I love all of the other influences of the Allies. One thing that General Patton said, soldiers have to understand, male or female, and people in construction have to understand the effect of enemy fire and understand that casualties come from the exposure, the length of exposure to enemy fire. And so that's why he always advocated for rapid advances. Attack, attack, and attack some more. And so what happens here, it's not just the extension here, but it's how long we're exposed to what the book calls black swans. Black swans are these big risks or problems that can fly within that window. So we call this, or actually we don't call this, I stole this from the book How Big Things Get Done. This is called the window of doom. But if you do a really nice job of pre-con planning and you have the time and you have the right check-ins and you're doing iterations of your plan, you can find most of these problems in pre-con. And yet, will you find some in the field? Absolutely. Will you have a little bit of a delay? Absolutely. But you're going to find most of those problems in pre-con before they're ever a problem. Now, what's the worst thing that happens if you find the problems in pre-con? I'll just rip this sheet of paper off, crumple it up, or if it's a dry erase board, I'll erase it, or if it's a 3D model, I'll start again, or if it's styrofoam, I'll throw it away. And I'm being serious about this. We can replant some trees, but the worst thing that we did was trash some paper, okay? Because we're finding these problems in pre-con. Now, when we talk about lean and iterations, what people are talking about isn't iterate out in the field when you've got a crew waiting on you and expensive equipment and the clock is ticking. We're talking about iterate on paper first. So we want to find these problems here. And like I said, these numbers are when we don't plan because you're finding your problems in the field. If you want something different, find your problems in pre-construction. That is what makes this worth it. 1 trillion%. And I know that doesn't exist, but this is how much I love it. Anyway, so I'm going to turn this into a graphic for you and a blog post because we love doing that. I do want to say you've got to check out the book, How Big Things Get Done. And if you're like, oh my gosh, how do I implement that in construction? It's called Elevating Pre-Construction Planning. And we're constantly updating those books, and we will update anything that you want. All you have to do is message me. So that's your call to action. We're going to give this to you in the description below, but I hope you've loved this video. On we go.